Hello class, welcome to Empowerment Technology. So in this video, we're going to learn how to use Microsoft Excel in solving and representing the weighted mean um, of the responses of our respondents. So in this example, we have our sample statement of the problem. So SOP number 2, which is what are the perceptions of the students on the factors affecting their stress level in terms of the academic factors and the environmental factors. So first, you need to arrange your the responses in this manner. So we have here respondents in column 1, and then we have here our the academic factors for the statement of the academic factor for academic factor, is statement of environmental factors for environmental factor. So in this example, the arrangement is that the responses is divided per row. So our first row here is we have respondent 1, and then all of the responses of respondent 1, and then second followed by the second respondent and all of the responses of our second respondent. So other arrangement can be, for example, you can also have an arrangement that is by that looks like this one. So for example, academic factor 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the respondents, example, respondents number 1, 2, 3, 4. So is divided by column. So you can also do that. But I prefer this arrangement for this for the weighted mean. So we have here for our weighted mean, so what we need to do is to get the average of all the responses of the respondents per statement. So for example, this is the first statement that describes academic factor. So we need to get the average of the responses of our 50 respondents for academic factor number 1. So to do that, we need to use the average function. So equal sign, average, and then select the ranges of cells to be average. For example, this one. And then enter. Do that to all of the remaining statements. So you can just copy and then paste to all of the remaining statements for the academic factor. So the mean of the responses, the mean of the responses of our 50 respondents is 4.08 for academic factor 1, 3.98 for academic factor 2, 3.84 for academic factor 3, 4.28 for academic factor 4, and 4.14 for academic factor number 5. And to describe the overall the mean for the academic factor, we can get the mean of these means. So the mean of means is equal to average and then the average of this means. So you can do the same. So repeat the steps for the environmental factor. So we need to get the average for the environmental factor number 1. Ayan. And then do the same until in the environmental factor number 5. Or if you have more statements, then just get the average of the responses of all the respondents. So here we need to get the average of the means. So equal sign and then average, and then the average of this for academic and for the environmental factor. So now that we have the means, the weighted means, then we can now proceed with the reporting. So how do we now report in table? For example, for the academic factor number 1, we need to include here the different statements that describes the academic factor and their corresponding mean. Afterwards, beside the corresponding mean for academic factor 1, we need to include the verbal interpretation, which is provided by this one. So depende sa kung anong ginagamit ninyong intervals for interpreting. So here we have here a mean of 1 to 1.79 is for strongly disagree, a mean of 1.80 to 2.59 is strongly disagree. 2.60 to 3.39 is undecided. 3.40 to 4.19 is agree, and 4.20 to 5 is strongly agree. So we just need to copy the values that we got here in our what do we call this, the values that we get from our calculation. So copy, and then to remove the function, you need to paste it as text. So to remove the function, so as you can see, that is wala na yung function natin dyan. So we can change this into columns, transpose this into column. Just need to copy, for example, and then paste it and use this one to transpose it into column. So here, this is arranged, so the information here is arranged by column, pero nasa isang row lang sila, but you can transpose it into a single column but different rows. So transpose, and you will have this one. Then copy this one, and then paste it to its corresponding academic factors. So this is the mean for academic factor 1, for academic factor 2, 3, 4, and then 5. And then the overall mean, we have here copy, we have here 4.064, so copy na lang natin, and then paste din natin siya dito. So for the verbal interpretation, you can use the if function, but it will take you, you need to include there a very long sequence of if function, because you have here 5 statements. So you can just manually type here the verbal interpretation, since you only have here 5 statements for academic factors. So here, for example, 4.20 to 5, ayan, so 4.20 to 5 the mean. So that is for strongly agree, then agree, and undecided, disagree, and strongly disagree. So for example, this one, so 4.08 is agree, that is within the range of agree. So 3.98, that is also within the range of agree. 3.84 is also agree. 4.28 is strongly agree, and then 4.14 is agree. So the overall mean for the academic factor is 4.064. So 4.064, ano yung verbal interpretation niya? So the overall mean for the academic factor is 4.064, which can be interpreted as agree. Yeah. So for the discussion, you just need to ask your research teachers how are you going to report, or how are you going to discuss the result of this academic or this weighted mean calculations. So the same for the environmental factor, just copy the result. So you need to copy this one. For example, copy ulit natin, and then paste as text. So we can transpose this one. So copy, and then right click, and then transpose. Just remove this remaining. Okay. And then let's copy this one, all of this, and then paste as text. So this one, just emphasize the text that are needed to be emphasized. And then the verbal interpretation, 4.28, that is strongly agree. 4.14 is agree. 3.36 is undecided. 4.32 is strongly agree. And then 2.82 is also undecided. Okay, so overall we have here 3.784, which is undecided. 3.784 is agree. So you'll now copy this one in your research paper. And then, don't forget to add your title of the table. So, bahala na kayo kung anong title ilalagay nyo dyan. Pa-check nyo na lang sa research teacher, research teacher ninyo. So, that is how we perform weighted mean using Microsoft Excel. So, I hope you learned something in this video.